Hi, my name is Mary Lou Polly, and I'm the mayor of the city of Issaquah.
Hi, my name is Victoria Hunt, and I am serving as the Issaquah City Council President.
Today, Council President Hunt and I are chatting with Issaquah resident Michelle Enebo, who is one of the recipients of our 2020 Hero Awards. This is a special award that the city of Issaquah created this year to celebrate those who recognized the need in our community during the COVID-19 pandemic and answered the call for help. And so thank you so much for joining us here today, Michelle.
Oh, my pleasure.
During the pandemic, you found a way to help feed our healthcare heroes up at Swedish Issaquah. You supported local businesses and, in some cases, struggling restaurants. And it gave our community members a really useful and tangible way to make a difference. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you were working on and how you came up with the idea?
Sure. I had seen on Facebook, honestly, that there was a caterer in Edmonds that was trying to raise some money so that they could support Swedish in their neighborhood. And I thought, well, that's a really cool idea. Make them some dinners. And I thought, well, I've got a Swedish in my neighborhood, like literally around the corner from me. And I know the right people there too, which was kind of key. My own personal doctor is the medical director there, so I could text her and say, hey, do you think this would be a good idea? Do you think we could do this? And she gave me the names of the head of the ER and the head of the ICU. And she said, ask them, make it happen. And so I literally that afternoon put together a GoFundMe and put it out on my neighborhood page, which has probably 3,000 at least houses. There's 3,000 houses in my neighborhood, so lots of members. And also my personal page, which I've been a member of the community for a long time, so I knew a lot of people around, and people just came out of the woodwork to support it. I was amazed. I thought I was going to raise maybe $5,000 and put together a few meals, and that'll be fun. And it ended up, we just have hit $67,000, which is so crazy. I did a big push at the very beginning, and I was doing meals probably every other day, and we did a lot of meals, all told, even including the second push that I did starting Thanksgiving, more than 4,700 meals, and then more than 2,800 snacks, I think is what we sent in too. And my goal was very specifically to support local restaurants because they were hurting so badly. And so, people had all sorts of great suggestions, but I'm like, nope, I have to stick with my mission, and we are supporting Issaquah and Sammamish restaurants. And it was so much fun to get suggestions from the community, but also find out, all these little restaurants that I had never heard about before, little bakeries and all sorts of things. So it's been a great project. It's been totally fulfilling because all I had to do was connect the people that really, really wanted to help with the people who could really use the help. And I sat on my couch doing it the whole time. So it was a good project for me. My business was closed during that time, so I had extra time on my hands. It was great.
Michelle, I just love that answer. I totally agree with you. There is so much goodness and kindness in this community, but a lot of times people just don't know how to connect. We needed a spark like you. Thank you so much for doing it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, really.
So, Michelle, it ended up being a pretty big program, and of course, during a pandemic, safety is a major concern. And so I wondered if you could share a little bit about how you ensured the safety of the people receiving the food and your safety and the safety of the people dropping off the food, the restaurants, how it all was done safely.
Well, the first thing I did was I just made sure that the restaurants could always deliver the food. So that is one less person out and about spreading germs around. I had lots of people offering to go pick up food, but it was just better if the people that were making the food were dropping it off. So that was number one. Number two, the restaurants all had to make sure that they sent in food that was individually packed. There was no buffet style, nothing. And anything that could be packaged by itself could go in, but we also couldn't send in homemade cookies or anything like that. It had to come from a commercial kitchen, is kind of the rules that we set out at the beginning. And they would send, the restaurant would text me when they got there, and then I would text my contacts to come on out. And they would just send 2 people because they had to be very careful at that point with how much PPE they were wasting or taking off or using. So they would, take their gowns off to make sure that everybody was safe when they went out there to get the food. They would get the food and then come back in. So in the fall, when we started everything back up again, we actually started it back up because the cafeteria was going to be closed for Thanksgiving and on Christmas, and they had no way of having food unless they brought it in themselves. And, it's a family holiday and you want to, have good treats and feel taken care of. And so one of the doctors reached out to me to see if I could just talk to my network and see if I could provide a meal. I'm like, okay, if I start this back up, that I would probably going to get way more than enough for one meal. And what did they want me to do with that? And they said that they so appreciate all the food that the community is sending in, but they would prefer to have snacks and just one drop off a day. Because before I was dropping off for the day shift and the night shift. So if we could just drop off once, they could put it in the refrigerator or the freezer, whatever it was, or leave it out. But it was grab and go kind of snacks. And so that has actually been kind of a fun little evolution to kind of try and think of what would be good snacks. So, of course, the bakery, Forest Ferry Bakery was awesome with their cookies. And we had some cookie dough cups dropped off by Sweet Treats. But I knew I wanted to hit some of those savory people. So Las Margaritas was so awesome in the spring, and I could just call Elliot down there and say, okay, what can we do? And so he put together chips and salsa for 125, in individual bags. And so that way we could get the people that don't like the sweets as much. And it's kind of been fun to get creative and figure out what would be helpful for them.
That's amazing. I really appreciate your flexibility, that you were able to tailor the service that you were bringing to them to their needs. You must have heard some pretty interesting feedback, either from restaurants or the Swedish healthcare heroes. Is there anything that you wanted to share about feedback they gave you?
Well, definitely the people at Swedish were super thankful in some of those really dark days where it felt so hopeless and they just didn't feel supported at all. They said, to know that they had a hot meal coming in, they knew they had that to look forward to. That was super important to them. The restaurants really appreciated the exposure that they got, and also that I was giving them a chance to kind of give back to the community too. So they really appreciated that as well. And most of them went above and beyond. I would order, my limit was maybe $10 a meal, which it isn't much, but they would always throw in way more food than what was ordered, which was amazing. It made it a family affair, and their kids would come in and make signs, and they would hang them up, or not hang them up, but send them in. And I know the nurses and doctors were hanging them up and looking at them every day, which made a huge difference to them. So it was really neat to hear that. And then as far as the donors go, a lot of them were saying that they, liked hearing good news, like throughout the week. It was nice to hear good news. And people were so great. There was 880 different donations. Some of those were doubles, but there were people that donated $5 and there were people that donated their whole stimulus check. So there was a little bit of everything, and it was pretty great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling us all about how the program has gone so far. I understand that you are still delivering treats to Swedish, and so I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about your latest delivery, and also what are your plans for the future?
Well, I will do this as long as there's money in the GoFundMe. As of last week, when I won the award, I was at 0 and I had done my last meal, and that was the Las Margaritas chips and salsa. although there are people in the community that are still pulling together some things that they want to donate. So there is a Girl Scout troop here in the Highlands that has offered to take as donations from community members boxes for Swedish, and our magic number is 125. And I think they're going to do it. They did it last time because each person needs to have their own box, right? It has to be separate. So their girls seem to be pretty excited about it, and I'm super excited to be able to send that in. Since I won the award, I have raised another $300, which is just about another snack. So I am going to be coming up with something else for that too.
Great, thank you. That's all really inspiring, and it's great to hear about the plans for the future.
Oh, can I say one other thing?
Yeah.
C-Star was awesome. They contacted me and said, hey, could I donate 50 meals? And I said, well, absolutely. But let me figure out who's going to get those meals because I do 125. She said, immediately, she's like, okay, I can do 100. And I said, great. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Again, hold on. Let me just figure out where I can shave down a little bit. And she goes, hold on. And she gets back to me 2 hours later. She said, John Howie just okayed the other 25 that you need. So we're covered. And they donated steak, chicken, salmon, and it all came. I don't know if you've had any of their meals. They're amazing and came all ready with directions on how to heat it up in the microwave. So all those guys in Swedish got an amazing meal in the beginning of January.
Michelle, that is amazing. You did just hearing you tell the stories. We don't have a local paper. We don't know a lot of the good news that you're saying. And this is still a tough time for people. So to hear your positive stories is just, it's amazing. On behalf of,
know why this is the best project to work on ever. Everybody's happy.
Well, on behalf of Council President Hunt and myself, it has been so much fun to interview you today and to share all of your stories and your positive enthusiasm and energy with the community. I feel super inspired. I'm sure everybody that watches the interview will, and I invite them to go read the comments on your GoFundMe page. And I just want to thank you personally as mayor of this town and with Council President for your generosity to give up your time and your energy to support the community like you did and to bring in so many folks who wanted to help. We are so proud of you. It was heartwarming to be able to give you the award and then to sit here today and interview. It's been really a great experience.
Oh, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I'm totally honored and was totally surprised. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Hunt, did you have any final words?
No, just to say thank you. And I thought I learned a lot of interesting details in this conversation. And I think the community will like hearing about it because, like you said, I think a lot of us are looking for those good news stories.
Very much so looking for the good news stories. Thank you, Michelle. Have a great day.
Sure. Thanks. You too.